Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, so now I see I don't like my laptop camera is not going to work out, but I just got on here for a few minutes. Anyways, I just read that Straight Drop has retained a attorney. Her name is Kathy Anderson. There's a few things that I want to say about Straight Drop in this whole situation. I get on here and I talk about it sometimes, but I don't only when I can't help it and to try and drop some knowledge. Um but it looks like Kathy Anderson, she may be a public defender because I was reading in his notes that he requested a public defender. Now, if nothing else, you all, this should be a lesson, right? This should be a lesson, you know, to all of the young men that do certain things for clout. Okay. I think we get on here, we talk about where you've heard so many people tell young men when you go out and you do things and your friends say that they're going to be there with you, especially if you clicked up, you're supposedly in a gang or whatever. And then when you're doing all of that time, your homies just kind of phase out. I think looking at Straight Drop's face in court, just like I got on here and I said some time ago about JoJo Splat, I felt really bad. And I'm not too sure that JoJo Splat is going to go unscathed. For some reason, I don't know about that. I don't know. I wouldn't completely rule him out. I'm not saying that he did anything, but I don't know. But looking at Straight Drop in court, you guys, um looking at how sad he is, um you can look at him and tell like he looks like he's going through hell. Looking at some of his old videos when this situation first happened with Dolph, you saw like right after it happened, you saw some of the young men getting on saying, "We told you we was gonna have your back." They gave him a false sense of security. Okay. And I'm gonna run this down. I really need to write down some stuff, but I was doing some research on something else, and I just happened to look and I saw where he has retained an attorney, Kathy, I believe it's a Kathy Anderson. But this should be a lesson to young men that are crash dummies. People will send you out to do their dirty work, and then they'll leave you to hang out to dry, right? Well, with Straight Drop, looking at Straight Drop in court, now I was looking at when Straight Drop was born. He was born in April of 1998. My oldest daughter was born in 1998. So he could have easily been my child. So looking at it just looking at it from like a maternal figure, and then looking at it from I guess the law side of it, because I had worked for the police department for 18 years before I got into private practice. Um, it's sad. It's definitely sad to see him. He looks like he's going through hell. It's starting to sink in out of all, I'm sure the drugs and the alcohol or whatever, those drugs and the alcohol that gave him the courage to do a lot of what he did, and the people that gassed him up, because you have to think about the people that are accusing Straight Drop. I mean, not accusing, the people that possibly gassed him up to do this are twice his age. Okay. So he's looking at now, he's having the opportunity to think about, okay, I messed up and I'm in this alone. You have to think about, he's starting to think about now his homies that was sliding with them or said that they would be sliders with him. They ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So they can't hire him an attorney. And if some of the people that we believe put him up to do this um they got the money, but um self-preservation is first, right? So they're preserving themselves first. So they can't funnel money because when believe me when I tell you, the feds are watching. Okay, I'm sure they've been tapped in for a long time now to see how money is going to be funneled to anyone that is affiliated with him. So he's realizing that he's out there by himself. And looking at him sitting in that courtroom, even though he was arrogant, he's a 23-year-old boy, young man, okay? Ain't no telling what he had gone through in his life, okay? You think about now, Straight Drop is accused of rape. I haven't had the opportunity to read those notes or the report on what had happened, but okay, so he's 23 years old. Um he was accused of rape. He was accused of going into a skating rink here in Memphis and shooting up the skating rink, right? Okay, so you know that there's a lot of anger there. So there's something traumatic that has gone on now. We have yet to see who his parents are. I have not seen, his mother, his father, or anyone step forward. You know, we haven't seen any of them on the news. And I'm not saying that we should, but I'm just surprised that nobody has zoned in. Now, the young lady who the cussing grandmother, she later came back and said that Straight Drop was not her grandson. She had it confused. Um, so we don't really know what he went through in his childhood. I'm not excusing what he did to Dolph. You know, I'm starting to believe myself. I believe that he played a part, but I believe he's being set up to take the whole fall. Because I look at those pictures, you look at Straight Drop, he's a little bow leg. Okay. He's a little bow leg. And then you look at JoJo Splat, his legs are similar. Okay. So uh, if he did not do this, well, I believe he was in it some kind of way. I'm gonna tell you something about when you trying to be down. Well, I ain't no snitch. Your friends don't have an issue with you ruining your life. They don't want to go and take and do the time. Okay. They don't have issues with that. But no real friend, if they know they was the one or the other person that had that gun and you were just a driver, no real friend would want to see you go and do life because that's what's getting ready to happen. And I think that's all sinking in. I think, if those tweets were true, if they were true, that Yo Gotti was on, um, if Yo Gotti was on Twitter saying if my nigga go to jail, I'm bailing him out. That was giving him a false sense of security. That's kind of suspicious within itself. Why would he even be that involved? This is a murder case. Why would he feel the need to say that? Was he afraid? Did he want to give him a false sense of security so he would get in there and not talk? Why would he be that involved if those tweets are true? And so I'm sure the detectives and the agents, and when I say agents, you talk about the FBI agents because they have this case now. They're looking at all of that. We have not heard a lot from Black Youngster. I think it's going to be interesting. At this point, I feel like because they're in so deep. I'm talking about Straight Drop. Well, you know what? I did see a Black Youngster did a show somewhere and he was dripping sweat everywhere. Okay. Now I know that when people are performing, they can, they're sweaty and things of that nature, but Black Youngster ain't doing good. He ain't. And I'm gonna tell you something with that insurance agent. I believe that insurance agent. He didn't have a reason to lie. And just what the insurance agent stated that happened, um, when he says that youngster said, well, will you give me a hug? Um, I think it started to sink in at that point if he was involved. I'm not saying, you know, this ain't even what we thought it would be. That's if he was involved, allegedly. Okay. Um, and if you if you as I stated before, I know some of black youngsters relatives. Okay, they have always stated black youngster did not have any issues with Dolph. And they maintained that he never had any issues with him. He don't have any problems with the young man. He never did anything to him. As far as black youngster's brother, now I'm hearing all over the internet, people saying, well, Dolph, he feel like Dolph supposedly killed his brother. That's a lie from the pits of hell. His family never thought that. And I can remember when my friend told me that her cousin was killed. They never believed that. And they still don't. So I don't know where that's coming from. So here's the thing: if black youngster Remy, that's my puppy. If black youngster never had an issue with Dolph, where did the issue come up at? Sometimes I think we kind of go left, and I'm not saying he didn't have anything to do with this. I'm saying that there is a mastermind behind this, what I call the root of this. And we got to get to the root of this, because if we don't get to the root of these problems and we start putting away the limbs, I don't know if black youngster was involved, but let's just say if he was, allegedly, he's still a limb. As I stated before, black youngsters has relatives that said he never had any issues with Dolph. Black youngster has been on record himself saying, I never had any issues with Dolph. So why was he dissing him in some of his songs? He did a song, and I like the beat of it. Because I'm not even into rap like that. It's called It's Your Birthday. Why is it that allegedly he was gonna be charged or something with shooting up his truck or whatever? And Dolph even said himself, somebody else is sending them out to do it. And that's what I say. There is a root to this. So we think about Straight Drop, who's 23 years old. We think about even allegedly JoJo Splat, who's 19 years old. All of these young men. These are young men that have been around Dolph. At some point, they have fallen out. From what I'm hearing, Dolph and Straight Drop just kind of quit dealing with each other a while ago. It was never enough for Straight Drop to want to kill him. So all of a sudden, now he's charged with murder. So where did that come from? See, when I say we have to dig up the root and get to the root of what is going on and who is instigating this and what caused this, and follow the money, that's what I mean. We got to get to the root of this. See, as a mother, it pisses me off because, like I said, I had worked right over there in 201 in both departments for 18 years. Okay. I don't now, but I had. Okay. So we know what happens over there. Straight Drop ain't doing good. Just like I said, when I saw JoJo Splat shaking, it broke my heart as a mother, because I understand when young men have been manipulated. Okay. There is something internally wrong. Anyways, when somebody is charged with rape, I ain't had the time to pull the report, but I'm going to pull it tonight and see if I can pull up the statements and see what went on with that rape. But in order for a 23-year-old man to have been accused of rape, that means there was some traumatization in his life anyways. There's some anger issues probably caused from childhood because, like I said, we ain't even seen his parents step forward. We ain't even seen him in court. So it's open season for anybody that's manipulative, which is the root of this problem, right? I know I'm preaching today, but I am an investigator. I can say a lot of stuff without saying it. Okay. So y'all just follow me and catch my drift. So if Straight Dropping and Dolph had fallen out sometime back, but it wasn't bad enough for him to shoot him, why all of a sudden back in November he decides he wants to shoot him? Because it was instigated and because he was paid. Now, or he was promised something. Okay. So you talk about young men in the hood because I grew up in South Memphis. Okay. That area that Dolph that cookie shop was at. I've been around the area. I have family members that lived on Joy Lane. I grew up in the heart of South Memphis until I was about 12 years old. And then, like I said, we went from the hood to like Hollywood, went to a beautiful area, but I still had family there, still have friends there. That's how Black Youngster's cousin and I are still best friends. Okay, we've been friends since I was in the kindergarten. That's why I say when Black Youngster's brother was killed, and I don't talk about nothing because we so tight, I call him my cousin. So I don't talk about nothing my friend tell me, but it ain't nothing bad to say. The only thing when Black Youngster's brother was killed, it was discussed, but it wasn't Dolph was never brought up. So I don't know where people are pulling this out at. I don't think the family ever felt like Dolph had anything to do with Black Youngster's brother's murder. They don't even say that to this day. Like people are completely left on that. I'm not getting into what we talked about, but I can tell you now they never thought Dolph or his camp had anything to do with it. So I don't really know if Black Youngster was manipulated, but that's not what they thought at first. Okay. Um, and if you think about Black Youngster, okay, because as I said before, I remember when we were growing up, Black Youngster's mother, and I won't say her name, and I have played together. We're in our 40s. She was a little older. She was a few years older than me. I didn't see her no more after about 12 years old. She had a nurturing spirit. Okay. Um, it's weird because you think about Black Youngster who has, I know the area that he lived in, Macmillan, that is a impoverished area. So Black Youngster now feels like somebody, actually it was God that had given him the blessings because God touches the heart of man, right? But he feels beholden to someone else, whoever is at the root of this, because I think it goes beyond Youngster, okay? Whoever is at the root of this, he's now incorporated into this beef because of whoever it is that's at the root of this. As I said, even Youngster has gone on record as saying him and Dolph have never had any beefs. Dolph has said it. So and I'm going somewhere with this. You talking about young men who all are in impoverished areas and people who have made it out that's probably making a little bit of the real money because I don't think that they are. I know the Straight Dropping them ain't made nothing. Okay, so it's easy for them, it's easy for someone else to manipulate them, especially if they feel like that person has taken them out of hard living. Instead of giving praises and stuff to God, they're praising a man, someone else, and have put them in a place, in a high place, and that person thinks that they are God. Okay, so as I always, just looking at Straight Drop, it bothers me because their young man is going through hell. And I don't know how deep Straight Drop is in. I don't know if he's afraid to say too much right now. Number one, he's still hoping that they'll come through, whoever it was that promised him that they was going to come through. it's looking like they ain't, because self-preservation is first. Them feds on their asses. Okay. I can tell you that with a lot of certainty. They can't go down for straight drop. Whoever it is, they can't. So he's starting to understand that he was used. Okay. And this person that's at the root of this is using a whole lot of people. As I said, I saw a concert on YouTube that Black Youngster just did. Just a little snippet of it. It looks like it was something recent. Sweat was pouring everywhere. He ain't doing good either. I'm telling you now, he ain't. You could look at him and tell he ain't doing good. But it always seems like, especially when people are easily manipulated, especially younger men, they're easily manipulated. The snake, the cobra that's at the root of this is more than one cobra. Sometimes the cobras are brothers, okay? That's at the root of this might get through, might get by. I know that it seems that way. But here's the thing about African American young men, because I work with the youth so much, and trust me, I tell you, I take it personal, because our young men, if you are in a position, you think about Dolph, and that's why the city is recognizing Dolph so much, because what Dolph did was Dolph got into a position. People want to know why Dolph was not retaliating. Okay. I don't know how, I think at Dolph's point, Dolph had worked so hard. Be quiet, Remy. Dolph had worked so hard that he understood what could happen. He didn't want to go back and forth. He wanted to preserve what he had worked hard for. And he also understood that he was trying to change the lives of, be quiet, Remy, of young men that's in his camp that was in the street. He was trying to help them to change their lives. So they kept poking at that man because they wanted him to retaliate, because they wanted to take him out at some point like they did. And they also wanted to take out a lot of his artists that are threats too. You think about Key Glock and Big Moochie Grape. And I talk about Snoop Bands, artists like that. You look at them. Key Glock is in a position now because I understand that he's Dolph's, cousin of some sort. Dolph said that Key Glock's mother and father, his father was his uncle, basically raised him. It was like second parents, because his parents were in the street. And he took Key Glock up under his wing when his aunt called and said Key Glock was, he said Key Glock was just wilding out. And he said, I was like, wow, Key Glock had been up under him. He didn't even know he could rap like that. He was just hanging around him, not saying anything. He said, so when his aunt called him, was like, you need to get your cousin, he wilding out. He was like, wow. He was like, his aunt was like, it had basically said, you got to get him because he's getting into trouble. He said, I didn't know he could rap until one of my friends was like, man, did you know your little cousin could rap? And he said it was like so profound. He was like, I was like, damn, I just finished talking to my auntie. So this is profound for my partner to say, your little cousin can rap. He said, so he started going hard for me. That's why I put him on. So Key Glock is in a position now. I don't know if he's as mature as Dolph to kind of take over and be in Dolph's position, because Dolph was a hardcore businessman, which is why he was a threat. But he's got other artists like Big Moochie Grape, who, as far as rhymes, is hardcore. Okay. Snoop Bands, who is definitely Remy, stop. Who is definitely an original. He's different. But Big Moochie Grape is hard. That's why, and they're still kind of out in the street. But if they would get together and organize and get out of the street, because trust me, those young men are a threat right now. And when people have put themselves in a position as God, you got these young boys around you, these young men around you who think that you are the person that have blessed them or can bless them instead of God. They have some kind of undying loyalty to certain people who never meant them any good anyways. Because if people mean you some good, they're not going to instigate you going out and killing a star as big as Dolph. They're not going to give you money or promise you things to go out and kill a star as big as Dolph. They try and preserve your life. Just like Dolph said when his aunt called him and said Key Glock was wilding out, he felt like he needed to help to change his life, as well as the other artists that are on young men. Yeah, they out. He said, yeah, they out in the street, but I'm in a position to help to change their lives, not sign them to be his hitmen. You see what I mean? And you have labels that are doing that to our children. And so I look at somebody like not Key Glock, but like a Straight Drop, who was arrogant as an immature young man. He was, because he was influenced by old rusty crusty Negroes who was in a position to help him. Instead, they used their position as God to send out a young man that was already troubled. And people like that in Memphis, we ain't got no use for them and don't have no respect for them. So now you have people trying to clean up some stuff. But see, I've worked for the police department, so I already know. I do private investigative work. I take Fed work all day, every day. I stay loaded my company. So I know how they work. Okay. I have federal attorneys to hire my company and federal prosecutors. This case I would never take. You understand? But it does not make me feel, which means I work with federal agents too. So it does not make me feel good to know that a 23-year-old man's life is messed up, and he's understanding it now. It's starting to hit him. Oh my, but he can't really, because he still got some hope. You could tell, but just he slumped over. He understand people that have put themselves in a godlike position because they got people around them that never had anything, that feel like, well, they've given me the American dream. They ain't gave you nothing. Your talent gave it to you. And if you really had waited something, your talent will make room for you. Somebody like Dolph could have signed you and not put you on their label to be to be your to be their sent out or their flunky. Okay. And you still probably would have made it. But I saw where Key Glock, I don't know who that is. And let me just say this, okay? Don't make fake pages and come at me, because I know how to trace them. Okay. I got every system there is because I'm licensed. I can trace where you at. Don't send nobody out to come for me. Because number one, I'm not going to throw anybody up under the bus, but I'm going to always tell the truth. Okay. I'm going to always tell the truth. And at this point, as parents, and I know some kids got parents that are just out in the street and they didn't know how to be parents and they didn't have anybody to guide them. But I think about the OGs when I was growing up, okay? And when I was growing up, the OGs didn't send the young men out to go and crash. They didn't do that. As a matter of fact, if they came up to them talking about they want to sell anything, they tell them, little dude, you better get on away from me. You better get to school somewhere. But now you have people that are just evil. They have put themselves in a godlike position, and they are ruining our youth, i.e., Straight Drop. It's starting to hit him now. Like I said, I see where he's got a public defender, but Straight Drop needs to talk, because Straight Drop is in a position where his people have set him up to take the complete fall. They've set him up to take the complete fall. And I'm gonna tell you something about some of the prosecutors here. I don't mean no harm, but if they know that you were involved and you ain't willing to give up who the real people are, but you was there like the driver, they'll take you. They'll take you. So I think it's a sad thing. He understands now he's been hung out to dry because Dolph did not have to die. Straight Drop was not Dolph's enemy. Dolph was not Straight Drop's enemy. Black Youngster was not Dolph's enemy. They're not until they start trying to kill him allegedly. Black Youngster is not even on the same level as Dolph. So that's why I can understand when people say, well, they didn't never have any issues. I can understand that because he was not on the level. And Black Youngster has talent too. I like some of his music since I've been listening to it. But Doc was on a completely different level. So it would have to be somebody higher that would have issues with Doc, because those little dudes were not even on his level yet. Not at this point, they weren't. So they ain't have no reason to be threatened by him because he had already surpassed them. So it had to have been somebody that was threatened by him that felt like he was on his level or had surpassed him. And what they do is they manipulate and they send our young men out. And as Black African American men, it bothers me that y'all are not protecting your sons anymore. See, Big Dog, because that's what they call him, Big Dog. Big Dog ain't even supposed to have no status in their life, especially because Big Dog is supposed to be their daddy that's in their households. Okay. So daddy gonna go handle Big Dog if he think he gonna be sending his child out to go and take out his enemies, because Doc wasn't Straight Drop's enemy. They weren't on the same level. Okay, so younger men like Straight Drop are being used to take out somebody as big as Dolph to eliminate somebody else's threat. They use them. That's why people say, well, such and such didn't say nothing. They never responded. They too big of a boss. That ain't no boss when you sending out other young men to do your dirt. And it's obvious. It's obvious to the police. It's obvious to the FBI. It's obvious. And the sad thing about it is young men like that put people like that have used really and abused them, and they think they've helped them because they give them a little chump change. Ain't gonna give them enough to change their life. Straight Drop can't even afford no attorney. He got a PD. He got a PD, a public defender. But they gas him up, instigate him, give him a sense of false security and false love, because that's what they long for. Instead of using it and saying, I tell you what, little dog, I tell you what, whatever they call him, little dog or whatever, young dude or whatever. I tell you what you do, because a lot of these men can't even, a lot of these young men can't even read and write. So the contract's jacked up. They raping them crazy on the contracts. They can't even read them. You get your life right, because see, you can't bring that gang stuff. I'm building an empire. So you can't bring that gang stuff around my stuff. I can help to change your life. That's why Doc was not retaliating, because he didn't want to go and retaliate. And then some of his artists get hit in the crossfire. That's a real MFing boss all day, every day. Okay. So I'm just going to kill him with success. And that was making him more and more angry. The root, I call the person who think they're going to go unscathed, that's really the instigator, that think they can't be touched. That's who I call the root. The root of this, it was making them more and more angry. And it was building up more and more hate. The more Dolph was flossing his cars, his money, investing in businesses. It wasn't no pyramid scheme. He was sending more and more young dudes out that was already troubled. These are troubled young men. And instead of taking them and helping them, you take them and you hurt them. This man's life is over. Straight Drop's life is over. Okay? A 23-year-old man who's just getting started, got a child. He was already doing little crash stuff. So you feel like his life ain't worth nothing because he was already went into a skating ring and shot up a skating ring, raped a woman. That's bad. But that's a troubled person. So you use a troubled person. Okay, so rapping might give him a sense of worth or something. Okay, because he might not be getting that at home. Might not have gotten that at home. you in the position to help them instead of genuinely helping them. You using them to instigate them. And these young men ain't got no self-worth to themselves. That's why they letting the root, people like the root, the instigators that they feel like are big dogs that have made money, send them out. Y'all, we got to stop supporting people that do things of this nature. We got to start sanctioning them. I don't want nothing. They over there talking about killing folks and they doing it. We ain't buying no record. We ain't listening to, my kids ain't listening to nothing that comes from that label. That's how we stop people, because it's destroying our community. I can't understand Black men that came from North Memphis, South Memphis, places like that, and they constantly talk about destroying their community. I grew up in South Memphis because I know how impoverished it is. North Memphis was worse. North Memphis was worse. And so you come from nothing, and then God gives you an opportunity to raise you up, and you look at young men and you're in a position to help them if they got some talent, and then you hurt them by sending them out to do your dirt. We can't support people like that. So yes, as a mother, I can have a heart for the straight drops, for the Black youngsters, all of these people looking for validation. And that's why the root and the instigator is able to look innocent, because they send out people who are troubled, who look at them as God. They took me out of hard living. Now God gave you a talent. You got a talent. So you could have taken yourself out of hard living. God just used that person to give you a step up. It really wasn't them. It's God that touches the heart of man. But our children are not being taught that. And so you have these big dogs. We put so much emphasis and we hold people who got money in high esteem. They cannot do any wrong. See, a lot of people are just, they don't have morals. They don't even know what love look like. They feel like we just hold people in high esteem that has money. And that's why they're able to step all over people that they think they are little, because we're putting people in high places and they're ruining our children. And that is what has happened in this case. Now, they can go on and get him an attorney. That'll be just what the feds want. But trust me when I tell you, our Horn is a good attorney. He ain't stupid. He is advising them. He already know what's going to go down, okay? He already know what's going to go down. And at this point, the only person that may have a conscience about straight drop is probably Black youngster. He might be that. He might be the one. Okay. And I'm just talking about because he might have been closer to him. I don't think nobody else is even worried about it. Now they can, people get on here and we start talking a whole lot about him not getting a lawyer and things of that nature. But self-preservation is the first law. Okay. People are going to preserve themselves. And getting him a lawyer ain't going to look good. And it's going to destroy a lot of lives. Okay. Because that's going to get them folks to digging. And they're going to start digging up stuff that ain't even got nothing to do with the Dolph's case. And they ain't willing to take that chance, especially if some crooked stuff is already going on. I'm just talking about anybody. I'm talking about crooked stuff in any situation, even outside a Dolph's situation. That's going to give them the green light because they're going to get you. When I tell you the Fed's going to get you, they're going to get you. You better be clean when they zone in on you. And they already know they've been zoned in on. Okay, so they got a lot of stuff to be worried about anyway. We don't even know if they ain't been tapped. I'm not saying that they have. I don't know. But I know that they can get a court order and do it if they got probable cause to do it. So they might have been tapped a long time ago. So we don't know how this thing is going to spin. But looking at straight drop, he ain't doing good. He ain't doing good. And he's been set up to take the whole fall. Okay? He's been set up to take the whole fall. Those friends that was on that live talking about, we got you, we told you we had your back, this, and that, they ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Not those ones. Not those ones. Okay. So, but yeah, when I saw that he had an attorney, her name was, what I said, her name was Kathy something. I think she's a public defender. Um, yeah, you know, it's gonna be something. They need to. It's not gonna get any better. But if Straight Drop goes to jail, Cornelius goes to jail, let's just say, because it's a whole lot of stuff that have gone on behind the scenes, y'all. People have been put into, um, it's a lot of stuff that has gone on. But if the instigators and the root of this ain't dug up and taken care of, it's a travesty of justice. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna wait until this blows over, and Straight Dropping them, they'll be in jail for life. Okay. And then in a few years, somebody else will start to rise up. Because, like I said, Dolph got some good artists. Okay. Dolph was a beast as far as business. I remember I met Dolph one time, and I think he called me because I have a TV show here in Memphis when he first got started, maybe back in 2014, about coming on to my show. And I believe it was him. I want to say it was, and I was not into having rap artists on my show because I worked for the police department and I couldn't have them throwing up gangs. I didn't know a lot about them. And I remember they asked me, they said, well, we got some artists who want to come on and talk about our record.